All right, I have a PNY GeForce GTX 1080 Ti, and the last video I didn't show you guys what the board was doing when I plugged it in initially, but I want to show you this because it's weird. I'm going to cut the computer on. Okay, it does nothing. This is weird. All right, let's try this again. Oh, you know what? So I didn't have my 12 volts plugged in, and it didn't act weird. I'm assuming it'll tell me. I'm assuming it won't show anything on the HDMI. We'll check though. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Okay, so let's turn it off. Let's plug in our 12 volts. All right, 12 volts is plugged in. Now we'll watch what happens. Nothing happened. I still don't get any video out. So earlier, the card lights up, fan spins, but I don't get any video out. Yesterday or the day before, when I tested this, my PC would cut on, cut off, cut on, cut off, cut on, cut off. So I thought that might have been an indication, but perhaps I was doing something wrong. But it definitely is not turning off now, nor is it showing any video. So we get no video out. I guess take it apart and see what we can see. So I guess I want to see if I'm getting VCore. I mean, it powers on. I just don't know if the CPU's powering on, and I can't remember if the chip got hot when I took it out of the PC. So I don't want to do this because this is cumbersome trying to work on this thing inside of the motherboard, but at the same time, I don't know what else to do. I'm going to go ahead and power it on. I'm getting 0.8 volts on VCore. And the CPU is getting hot. So the CPU is getting hot and I'm getting VCore. So what does that mean? Doesn't that mean like everything is on? If I'm getting VCore and the CPU is getting hot, that means that all of the voltage rails have engaged. I'm so ignorant though. I don't know for sure. Maybe I'm just talking nonsense. I don't have a heat sink, but I doubt I'm going to get any video, but we're going to try. The CPU is getting hot. There's got to be an easier way to work. I don't know how them fellas build them little things where they can click on and take measurements and try to measure RAM voltage. I'm not getting RAM voltage unless I don't have the ground on there properly. I'm getting VCore, but not getting RAM. Why am I not getting RAM? That's weird. What is this voltage here? I know you guys can't see, but 1.8 volts. Still no RAM. What is this voltage down here? That's 1 volt, so that must be PEX, right? I'm getting 12. Yeah, that CPU is getting toasty. So it seems to me that I'm missing RAM voltage. All right, so I have been exploring this RAM circuit, trying to understand what I'm looking at. But these right here are my inductors for RAM. And they are connected to these two MOSFETs right here. And these two MOSFETs, I can't remember the nomenclature of them, but they are enhanced in-channel MOSFETs. And so they're dual channel, so there's a gate here, and then there's a gate here. And these MOSFETs are controlled by this little chip right here. And so I was checking continuity between these MOSFETs and this chip, and the continuity is there. I checked enable or PVCC. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I'm getting, I don't know, it seems like this is working. So then I measured the gates of these MOSFETs to ground, and as you can see, we're looking at 28K on that gate, 28K on that gate, a bunch of K on that gate, and then on this gate, we're getting 73 ohms. So either this MOSFET or this controller is bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to desolder that MOSFET, and then I'm going to check again, and if continuity goes up to a decent range, then I'll know that that MOSFET is partially shorted. So that is what I'm going to attempt to do right now. That took like 10 minutes. At least this will tell us whether that MOSFET is shorted or partially shorted. Oh, it's not the MOSFET. Oh, that sucks, man. That sucks. So that must mean that it's this little IC right here by the fan connector. And how am I going to get that off? How on earth do you get that off? All right, fan is wiggled loose. So the next step is to take off this little chip, because this, not that, this little chip right here, that is labeled 7H4H, or 7J equals 4J. That's what it's labeled. We're going to try to take it off. I could be chasing a huge rabbit trail right now. Don't think so though, because I'm pretty sure that gate should not have been 80 something ohms. Seems, well, not when all the rest were 1K, you know. Now let's measure resistance on that pin, the ground, and it should be open at this point. Yeah, so it's open. Yeah, I think this chip which is the PWM controller that turns on these two MOSFETs. It turns them on and off. I think it was bad, and that's why we weren't getting RAM voltage. So I'll have to figure out how to order one of those. I'm not sure how you go about doing that when you can't tell what the chip is, because it just says 7J equals 4J and it's a QFN20. I don't know how you figured that out. All right, I have been doing some figuring. So in the last clip, I took off this chip right here because I thought that because I got a lower resistance reading on the gate of that MOSFET that it must be bad. But then I got to thinking that perhaps I should figure out what this chip is. And I haven't quite worked out exactly what the chip is, but there was a chip like the RT1651 or whatever, looking at like another board, and you could see the pinout. Obviously you need VCC coming into this thing, or I think it's called PVCC, and that's 5 volts. And I did check that, and I did have that. But another signal that you're supposed to have into this is enable, the enable signal. And I don't have the enable signal. And the enable signal comes in, here, I'll show you under the microscope. It comes in on pin 3, which is right here. And it comes through this 0 ohm resistor. So that 0 ohm resistor is good, but I'm not getting enable voltage there. So I traced, I was trying to figure out where that signal came from, because I have no idea how you get the enable signal or what other chip it comes from. But I did trace it to the back of the board. I traced it down to this area here on the board. And we can look under the microscope again. It comes in, or it's a short to this resistor right here. And then from there, it also comes back up the board, and it also shows up on the gate of this MOSFET right here. So enable should be felt here. It should be felt here, and then on the other side of the board. Well, I wasn't getting it, and it's supposed to be 3 volts or whatever. I wasn't getting that voltage. So then I spent the last 2 days trying to figure out how that friggin' voltage is created. And what I have worked out is this. This chip right here, let me find it. This chip right here, which is the NCP 81274, it's similar to that big chip that's in a PS5 that controls the VCore voltages. So it switches on and off the voltage, these SIC 620s for the VCore voltage. That's what that chip controls, right? And so then once VCore voltage or VCore comes up, looking at the data sheet of this chip or this IC, out of pin 38, which is so pin 38 would be somewhere over here, one of these. I can't remember exactly which one, but you're supposed to have 3.2 volts out of that if your VCore is good, right? And so I said, well, where does pin 38 go? Let me try to ohm around and see if I can't figure out where pin 38 goes to. Well, I'll show you where it goes to. Remember the first place I found the enable. It's over here, sorry. No, where am I at, dude? Power good shows up right here. It shows up right here. And so it makes you wonder, well, what is the value of this resistor? Well, when I measured it, it was 15K. And I didn't think nothing about it. I'm like, well, 15K, I guess that's what it's supposed to be. But all of these other resistors in this area are 0 ohm resistors. And when I check, when I power on the card, I get 3.2 volts on this side of that resistor, and I get 0 volts on that side of that resistor. So I'm thinking that this is supposed to be a 0 ohm resistor, but it's actually a 15. It's open essentially. So I'm going to replace that with a 0 ohm resistor and see if I start getting RAM voltage. If I haven't damaged this little IC, because taking this thing off took forever to get it off. And I had to put 480 degrees on it to get it off at maximum airflow for like stinking 10 minutes. But I did check to make sure all the pins are soldered down good. So yeah, so we're going to change that resistor with a 0 ohm. So if I fix that from this side, or no, from this side, yep, so I am getting enable. Well, technically I'm getting power good out of pin 38 of this chip right here. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. So technically I'm getting out of pin 38 is power good, and power good, I guess you get when the voltage rail, the 0.7 volts on VCore is up and running. Then this gives you power good, and then that power good comes over through that 0 ohm resistor and is felt into this chip right here, and this chip controls the two MOSFETs that give you your 1.35 volts for VRAM voltage. I'm assuming that's the way it's supposed to work. I could be completely wrong, and I could just cause something to smoke, but I don't know what else. I mean, what else can it be? I mean, if you're getting VCore, you're getting PEX, you're getting 5 volts, you're getting 1.8 volts, the only thing you're not getting is VRAM. And then you notice, well, enable is not present when the computer is running, then that tells me that I'm not getting something's open between, if I'm getting, I'm rambling now, but if I'm getting P good out of this chip and I'm feeling P good down here, but I'm not feeling P good, which now is called enable, on this chip, then that tells me that resistor has to be open. It's not supposed to be 15K. But again, what do I know, bro? I've told you guys this a million times. I have all sorts of wild philosophies about things, and many times they are incorrect. I often leap before I look, that old saying. We are going to plug in all of our power cables. All right, so that's on. So now, right here is my VRAM. So basically what I'm going to do is I am going to set my multimeter to volts, and I am going to, let me make sure I've got a good ground. I do have a good ground. So if I did not tear up that that chip that I took off, I didn't tear it up and burn it up, which I mean I don't think I would have, but yeah. So we're gonna do this, and we're gonna hope nothing smokes. We're gonna be looking for 1.35 volts. Yes, dude. All right, let me cut it off. Yeah. All right, we got our 1.35 volts. Now the question is will we get video? Will we get video? Bro, it took me 2 days to figure this out. So we're getting our 1.35 volts. I have HDMI inserted. And we are going to trigger this on. And then we're going to switch over to video. Yes, dude, we did it. We did it. We did it. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my goodness. We did it. That was a complex problem for me. I'm sure it wasn't complex for, the GPU guys, but for me, when you don't have any idea what's supposed to produce what. So, yeah, so just for anybody who's ever, I'll try to make the description. So just to run through this again, I was missing VRAM. I was missing enable. Enable is created by the power good signal of your chip that controls all of your SIC 620s that give you vCore. And that power good signal goes through this resistor, and I guess that's what's considered enable on this chip. And that's what was preventing me from getting my 1.35 volts. And the thing about it is I saw this resistor early yesterday morning, the resistor right here. And all of them measured 0 ohms except that one. I'm like, man, I wonder if that is supposed to be 0 ohm. But I was thinking, I don't want to just swap it out, because if I do, then, and it's not, I'll burn something up. But the whole time, that was a correct assumption. So let me put this back together, and then we're going to test it in my main PC to see if it works properly, picks up drivers and all that kind of stuff. So I'll be back in a sec. All right, so I am booted up in the machine, and we are going to run GPU-Z. It looks like it picked up the drivers because I'm using both DisplayPort and HDMI port. 11 gig of RAM. GPU temperature is 30 degrees. I guess that's okay. I don't know the correct way to like stress test these things. I suppose I need to figure that out. But so let's run Heaven, or what is this thing called? Yeah, Heaven. All right, well there you have it. The temps, I guess they were okay. I mean, I reapplied thermal paste. I didn't mess with the thermal pads. They seemed okay, but again, it's not like I'm an expert. But yeah, so 2 GPUs purchased. This one I purchased for $48, free shipping. And I fixed it with a 0 ohm resistor. So yeah. Anyhow, I appreciate it, man. Y'all be good.